Today, no war has been declared, and however fierce the struggle may be, it may never be declared in the traditional fashion. Our way of life is under attack. Those who make themselves our enemy are advancing around the globe. The survival of our friends is in danger. And yet no war has been declared, no borders have been crossed by marching troops, no missiles have been fired. John F. Kennedy. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Secrets of Saturn. My name is Jason Lindgren. I'm your host. Tonight I'm joined by a young lady named Cecilia Satori, a musician and activist. She's also a co-host on Freedomizer Radio every Wednesday on the Proof Negative show. Good evening, Cecilia.
Hello, Jason. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
You're welcome. You definitely have a very interesting story to share with us tonight, but why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself first?
Well, all my life, I've had a strong passion for singing, music, performing for people in a way that will bring an inspiration to their lives. On Freedomizer Radio, what we do every Wednesday night is we, on the Proof Negative show, bring an essence of the world around, a different perspective. So definitely keep an open mind if you ever want to listen in. In my community, with a few other amazing grassroots activists here in Phoenix, Arizona, and in Tempe, I have helped organize the March Against Monsanto, the last 3 marches at the Tempe Farmers Market, and have had the pleasure of meeting all sorts of people, and definitely being a part of something bigger, which is getting the word out there on this terrible thing that we have going on, which is it's basically poisoning the population through GMO food that has pesticides in the seeds meant to prevent bugs from coming in and eating the crops, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yet it creates a poison inside, which is definitely not a good thing for our DNA.
If it attacks the bugs and hurts them, then it can certainly attack our bodies as well.
Definitely. And so going organic is something that I tend to talk to people about and help them understand why that is a better of a choice. I mean, might as well spend a little bit more money purchasing those organic goods, which, by the way, have a 9 in front of the barcode, rather than purchasing something that'll cost, just a little bit less as far as non-organic vegetables, and then having to pay a lot more money in hospital bills or things like that later on. And I kind of do that when I talk about that because it's a very touchy subject, and I definitely wish the best of health to everybody, of course.
That makes sense. How do you feel the turnouts have been? Are people starting to get it?
Well, definitely a lot of people are starting to understand the topic a little bit better, and you ask, oh, do you know what a GMO is? They're like, wait, I think I've heard of that. A lot of people have spent millions of dollars to fight against others recognizing why they shouldn't eat the Monsanto seeds. And because people, and especially families, they don't want to feed food to their children that is going to hurt them in the long run and cause all sorts of abnormalities and everything like that.
Right.
And so even children are speaking out against this. So it's something that is across the globe. I mean, over 300 cities have marched against this. Over 52 countries, I think even now 63 countries, have either banned or labeled GMO food.
Yes, I've
It's
seen a lot of articles about
important.
that. It's very important.
And so we have a really great group out here called GMO Free Arizona. And Rachel Linden is the person that came up with the whole group. It's a nonprofit organization, and she helps basically educate people on GMOs. And she's supported the March Against Monsanto the last 3 times, and it's been a blessing getting to know her. Someone who was sick for about 10 years, the doctors couldn't figure out what was going on, and then all of a sudden, she takes the chance. She's like, all right, well, let me go ahead. We're going to eliminate this. We're going to eliminate GMO food, all of that. And now she's doing a lot better. She doesn't have to worry about whatever it was attacking her body in the past has definitely subsided. And she can tell you more about that if you're ever interested in, talking with her and everything. But she has such an incredible story. And I do have a passion for helping people see the truth of the world around us, because we live in this sort of mirage, and especially since I live in the desert, I mean, there's a lot of heat to go around, but there is a lot of fire within the hearts of the people in order to get this information out, because all in all, why are we selling like these seeds to third world countries that only produce once?
That's the trick.
And then these countries have to go in, and they're already poor, of course. They have a low income, and then they buy that over and over and over and over again every year. So they're like milking these people out of every single penny that they own.
Yes. I've done some research into Monsanto, and it's pretty vicious what they do.
Yes, and not just Monsanto, but other companies like Monsanto as well. But all in all, yes, I live to inspire people through music and a few other avenues as well. But yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your music then?
Well, currently I'm working with a friend of mine, excuse me. His name is Justin Thomas, and we are working in a project called Rainbow Black. It's an 80s inspired electronic mixture, kind of shoegaze type of feel, with a little bit of an edge as well. And it's very story-like and animated in that way, very colorful. So it's a lot of fun. I am also working on my own material. I haven't done too many performances by myself. I've just been wanting to release some sort of EP or something and let people see a little bit more of what's inside of me and where I come from, and also to inspire and heal them, of course. That's most important. What I find is there are certain phrases of words that can unlock ideas in people's minds. And here's something I like to say: intention is the golden thread of creativity.
Hmm.
Your intention is a golden thread of creativity.
I like that.
And this is really what's important whenever you're creating something. So coming from a good place and just letting it flow as far as from the heart is where I like to go. And not really thinking about it too much other than having that intention of love within yourself. One subject that I do enjoy is quantum physics. So if anyone out there wants to talk about quantum physics, definitely open to that. But music is there to inspire, and I see that there is so much music out there that is meant to corrupt the minds of the people, or perhaps just push just a little bit further to catch that extra dime or so, and it's really hurting our society. It's okay to talk about the truth, talk about what's going on, but at the same time, pushing the envelope a little bit too far could cause destruction in other areas, and that's why it's important to be careful about what your intention is when making that song or writing that piece. But yeah.
I totally agree. And quantum physics discusses string theory and vibrations, and of course, music is nothing but vibrations.
Exactly. And everything around us is constantly vibrating, constantly moving, and things are emitting these beautiful frequencies, these sounds, these resonances, and intertwining with everything around you. In the magnetic world, this is what we live with. And through love, one can really discover a complete different type of resonance. It's really something one should try out sometime if they haven't.
I think these are the concepts that were really people in the 60s really tried to get out there, and then sort of died out throughout the 70s, and it really does need to be rediscovered and brought to fruition.
Definitely, because it's what's part of life.
Exactly.
It's the code of life. The flower.
Well, we certainly look forward to hear what it is that you've got going on. So, turning to what we're actually bringing you on for tonight, you had a very dark encounter and something that could have gone much, much worse for you. And I'll just let you start telling that story as you had it unfold for you.
All right. So, I happened to come across a group of people through acquaintances. It just happened to be that I needed to do something, wanted to hang out, and I came across these people around 3 in the morning and ended up going over to their residence, which was in a very, really just interesting area. And although I couldn't see very much, I didn't think much of it. I just wanted to hang out, play some music. I brought my guitar with me.
Okay.
And so I get there and everyone's chilling out, but I just noticed some weird things. Like one guy's like melted onto the couch, and there's just like this smoky fog in the air, and people are coming in and out and everything. And I just like feel kind of weird, but I'm like, okay, whatever, and I just sit down. And it was over the course of an hour, just a little over an hour, so my time is kind of off, just to tell you the truth, although I do remember it was around 3 in the morning that we went over there. So, anyway, and I was there for some time. The guy that was, I guess, seemed like more of like the leader guy in this whole thing, he started showing me these pictures and these videos, and like there were these videos of girls doing things to guys or whatever. And he was like telling me basically that I had to do it, that I was going to be the one, that I had been the chosen one or whatever for this type of acts.
Did it look like in the pictures that it had been taking place in that apartment?
I mean, the carpet looked very similar. I just couldn't really tell.
Did you get the impression that this was something he was very used to doing?
Yes. It seemed like something that he had done before because he wasn't nervous about it, and he wasn't the only one in on it either. It's like the other people that were in the house or the apartment were there for that same purpose as well.
How many people were there?
From the start, the guy that was melted on the couch, Salvador Dali style, he ended up leaving. So then there was, let's see, one, two. I think there were like 4 people in there to start out with. When that guy left. My memory's a little bit foggy on this, but it was about that. So I ended up finding out because I saw what they were doing. It looked as though they were smoking from like this clear thing, and so I'm guessing it's a glass pipe or whatever of some kind, and they were smoking what I learned to find was meth. And I had learned about meth, but I had never ever in my entire life been surrounded by it, and at least not to my knowing, but I'm pretty sure I wasn't. I hadn't been. And that's what that weird fogginess was in the air, I guess, was. It was just so different than what I had ever experienced. And they were smoking, and it was just really gross, and I was getting this weird feeling, and I just knew that I wasn't safe. That in order to get out of that apartment, I needed to be very, very, just very methodical about it.
And you didn't think you could just get up and leave?
No. I mean, I did think of that, like, oh, maybe I could, but I looked above the door, and there were these, like, big fat nails, like, nailed into the wall, 3 on each side of the door. And then there was a metal bat up there, above there, and I'm just like thinking to myself, why is that necessary to have above the
Like a
door?
baseball bat, you mean?
Yeah, like a metal baseball bat and like some other bat. And I just thought that was weird, like that was up there like that. Like, unless it was this, like, sometimes those things are displayed, if you're a sports fan, but in other ways, not like the way that was. And it just was weird to me. And like, I just got this weird feeling that they had beaten people up with it. So I mean, that's literally what my gut was telling me. So I was just like, oh shoot, if I try running out that door or walking out that door, I really don't think I'll be okay, because they basically already told me that there was no other girl that was going to be doing this, and I was the only one. And that's the reason why I was there. And so then, because he had disclosed to me a little bit after that he was actually making the meth there and selling it, I decided that I would just kind of bribe him, but bribe him in a way not physically or anything, just like telling him, well, I know people who do that, and of course I didn't know anybody that did, but I was telling him that I did, and that it would be way better than me, and that I could find another girl, and that he didn't have to worry about it, that there was going to be a better choice than me, and just let me go, and you'll have all the customers, you'll make so much more money than if you just let me stay here and make me do what you're telling me I have to do.
Did they imply how they were going to make you do certain acts?
No, not directly. They were just telling me that I was going to do them no matter what. There was nothing I could do about it. But I knew that I had to play with time, in the sense that I needed to prolong everything as much as possible. So I had to be in a very high state of mental concentration, very methodical with each word that I spoke, in order to find a way out. So there was one man there who ended up, anyway, I'll tell you later, but he, I found that this was the type of environment that he didn't like. He had somehow gotten stuck into this type of world, and it wasn't for him. And I told him, I said, well, why do you feel like you have to do this? And he's like, well, I don't know, and I can't stop taking this drug. And so this drug had a hold of him, and he was a prisoner to the drug. And
And then he was obeying the commands of this ringleader?
yeah, they were all in agreement with each other. It's like a game for them, like it's a fun thing. And they like laugh behind your back and like things like
And what
that.
was the end game for them?
Well, they were telling me that they were going to record this, and they're telling me that they're going to record this, and I started getting these other gut feeling type of intuition things, and it was around Christmas time in 2009. And so they had this tree there, and I said, is there a camera in that Christmas tree? And they freaked out. They got kind of weirded out by that, and because I kept saying things, so I was like, so is this for like the internet? And then they were like, whoa, like they ended up telling me that yes. And I said, so you're basically telling me that you reserve time online for people to watch this. And they were agreeing with me.
Had they gone into detail about what it was they wanted you to do?
Yeah, several things.
And with whom?
With the guy, the main guy, or the other one, the older one, that had gotten stuck within this type of world. But he felt like, I don't know.
So they were expecting you to do sexual acts with them and let other people watch.
Yes, yes, and they had even talked about a few gay type of things or whatever
Between those two?
between those two, which I'm not saying I have anything against that, because I don't, but just in that type of situation, for someone like me to be vulnerable to that is a very scary thing and a very uncomfortable situation.
Well, it's very understandable.
I remember a few weird things about the whole setup of the house. Here's another thing is that at one point a guy came and he had a guitar as well, and his guitar was blue. And he didn't disclose the name other than he gave me the name Mr. X.
Hmm. And he also seemed like he was used to dealing with unusual things like this.
Yes. So I kept prolonging the time with conversation, letting him know, this isn't something I was going to do, and just time kept going on and on. Hours had gone by. It had already been like 5 or 6 hours going into it, 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning, 10 in the morning, 11, 12. They kept getting phone call after phone call after phone call, and the people like Mr. X and then this other girl that came in, that guy Mr. X and this other girl that came in a little later, every time one of the other main guys would get a phone call, she would be talking to me about a bunch of just BS, like mumbo jumbo, to distract me from whatever conversation the other guy was having. It's like she didn't want me to know what they were talking about or whatever.
Did you catch what they were talking about?
Yeah, he was like saying like, "Oh, she's gonna do it," or like saying things like that, like, "Oh, we're trying to," or. But he kept getting like lots of calls, and at one point I was sitting on the couch, and they're like, "Oh," because I was charging my cell phone, and they're like, "Oh, we want to charge your cell phone too," or whatever, and they put their cell phone next to mine, and sooner than I know it, I'm getting phone calls coming in, and then when I get a phone call, they're getting a phone call on their end. When I get a text message, they get a text message, and so on and so forth, and it just keeps going on like that. So I'm like testing it out. And I'm like, oh my god, somehow they're like hacked into my phone where just by being next to it, they can literally listen and possibly even receive whatever messages I'm receiving as well.
Right, they're hijacking your line, basically.
Yes. And so one of my friends, she ended up calling me, and I was like, "Oh my God, thank God, somebody is gonna help me out of here and come pick me up or whatever." And I tried talking to her in Spanish. I heard the conversation on their phone over there because they were just on the other side of the couch and they thought I was stupid and didn't know what was going on because they had drugged me. So I had been feeling the effects of that drug, whatever. I think they drugged me with meth, but I don't know. And it's really weird for me to say that because that's never been something that I was ever interested in ever doing and or experiencing, and it's something that I believe takes away people's souls. And to have that forced upon you is quite a disgusting thing to have to experience, but the good thing is that what I had told the guy is there's no drug, nothing that can ever control my mind. I am the one that controls my mind. No drug, no experience, no nothing. And he had this nasty smirk on his face before that because he had seen that at one point he saw when it was kicking into me, and then I started feeling just weird. And I told him, I was like, what's going on? And he was just like laughing. And then I knew, like, they put something in my drink or something.
They offered you a drink?
Yes, there was something in my system, something, but I'm pretty sure that's what it had. It had to have been that.
So the idea was to get you in out of your mind
Yeah, they wanted me in a weak state of mind.
so that you were susceptible to suggestion.
Yes. And it was just weird because they had said that no matter what, that I was going to do this.
Did you hear what the conversations that were going on when the girl was trying to distract you? Did you hear what they were actually saying to each other?
Well, they were just talking about how I needed to do this and time was running out and that they were going to get me to do it, but they were trying to. For some reason, it wasn't happening. And I'm pretty sure people were watching already.
There were multiple cameras around the apartment, you think?
Yes, because I kept getting these feelings and I kept telling them, and then they were getting freaked out, but I was by what I was discovering. At one point, it was weird. The guy, one of the guys, he took, okay, first of all, there was this table, and the table had all these tools just kind of laid out. It was kind of weird. And on top of the tools, there was like this little wand with a star on the end of it.
Did it look like a druidic kind of thing?
It was like a little girl's fantasy toy wand.
Ah, okay, so not something ritualistic, but something just a toy.
Yeah, and he was just like handed it to me and it was just like, how does that make you feel? It was just weird. Cause there I am, I was like 20 or so, and then this guy's just telling me that. It's just very awkward. And later on, I go into this, he takes me into the next room, and the room is just so empty, but with scattered things around the floor. He was saying that they film in there, like just like children's toys and just random objects like a hanger and just random stuff. And
Was there a
apparently
bed?
filmed in there. Not in, no, not in that room. There was no bed.
Hmm. Was it clean?
Not really. I mean, it was just kind of scattered things around, like on the ground.
Well, I meant as far as the room itself. Did it look like the walls needed to be washed or the floor? Did it have carpet? Did it look like it had stains on it?
The carpet looked like it had stains on it. The walls I didn't pay much attention to, but I think you could tell that they had smoked in there.
Right.
And that's about it. And it was just a weird ambiance in that room. I didn't like it at all. It was tied in with the wand as well, the child wand.
Mm-hmm.
So the time was running out and it was getting close to like 2 p.m. and they were still trying to get me to do this. But,
What were they doing to try and get you to do it, though? Were they suggesting you go into a bedroom with somebody?
well, they kept saying that it was going to happen. But it was, it was such, how can I even explain this? There was a force that wasn't allowing them to go through with it. Because this seemed like something that they had been very comfortable with doing. But I was being a regular person to them. I was talking to them like a human being, and that's something that they had not been used to with the society that they're so used to living in. Because I saw the good in each of them, they didn't want to let that go. And I feel like that was something that really did keep them from really going through with anything. And the fact that I was bribing them with more girls or, customers for their meth.
And did they seem interested in taking you up on that?
Yes, very interested.
Okay. So how did this? What happened next?
So, it was like, I think like 3 or 4 or so, but I ended up going to this back room, and that looked like a livable space. I mean, there was a bed, there was a computer, and the guy there was doing something on the computer, and then I went back to the living room area, and they still wanted me to do whatever it was, but time was running out and it just wasn't gonna happen. Because I was just I even ended up jamming with that guy, Mr. X, and he didn't wanna. I don't think he wanted to hurt me after that. But they kept saying that there were these people coming and that they needed to hurry up, that there was no more time to waste, and I knew at that time that I needed to do something very, very important. Now, before I did that, one thing that was weird is that the girl that was there, she had said that she was going to be going back to school and starting again, and when I would offer her help, she would kind of just look at me.
How so?
It's just, there was just this look that she gave me, like as if later on, when I figured it out, it felt like perhaps what made me think that I was going to get out of there for me to even get the chance to help her out. That's what that felt like. And
She didn't think you were going to be around to offer help.
yes. Another thing is that when I tried getting the apartment number to my friend when she called me,
Mm-hmm.
I asked one of the guys what the apartment number was, and he totally gave me the wrong apartment number. It was only until later on the apartment door opened that I got a quick glance of the apartment number without them noticing. But I was like, oh my god, he really lied, didn't he? And that was just another confirmation of how much danger I was in and how much I had to take every step very, 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 treading carefully. The guy that was kind of the one that wanted to get out of the whole situation, the guy that wanted to get out of the whole situation of being involved with that kind of lifestyle, he ended up, well, I asked him, I was like, what is it that you do? And he's like, I keep a journal. And I didn't say any more. He didn't say any more. I just kind of like nodded my head. I was like, all right. But I have a respect for writers, so it was kind of like that. And so, at the point that they were telling me that there was no more time left, there were more people coming, that one guy that didn't want to be there anymore, he wanted to help me get out of there.
He said that?
Yeah, he said he would help me get out of there.
He said it in front of the others?
Yeah, the reason why is because when it started getting really scary and I knew that I had to do something quick to change their minds,
Mm-hmm.
the last resort that I had was to play my guitar. That was the only thing I had left to actually save me from this because I had used up so much mental concentration to prevent any of them from hurting me, to convince them out of getting me to do what they wanted me to do live while other people paid for it.
Right.
And that was in a span of, let's see, about 9 hours, almost 12 hours. Or actually, it was more than that because it was from like 3 a.m. to like 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m.
So you were there for quite some time.
I was. And I had to fight this, they drugged me with this drug and I had to fight that. It was just not good. So I'm like, oh my god, there's more people coming and these are the ones that are going to force me no matter what. So I needed to hurry up and I took out my guitar and I started singing for them. Something to empower them, something to show them strength, something to allow them to see why this was wrong and why this isn't the way that we should go about it. How they will be liberated if they just let it go and, just understand that my purpose on this earth isn't to end right there. And when I was done, the whole atmosphere, it felt so different. It felt clear. It felt just there was this weight that had been lifted. And, that's when the guy had offered me to sneak, get me out of there. This time he was very adamant about it. He's like, well, they're about to be here. So need to go. And I'm like, I need to go.
Did you find out who they were?
No, no, I didn't. Because
Or even what their purpose was for?
from what I gathered, the purpose is to bring that people there. Like, there's people who pay for this type of stuff to watch these things happen live.
Right.
And it's for them it's a fun thing to diminish the individual. They even say things to people to scare them. Like at one point they were telling me, "Oh, wouldn't it be funny if there was like a tapeworm in your drink and it just like you drank it up and like just weird things like that." They would try to scare me every single moment. It was just this kind of stuff, trying to diminish the person, make them afraid, but I would only keep showing them strength because that's what I had. And I wasn't going to let them. try to get into my mind like that, because at the moment that I show vulnerability, that's when it was goodbye. And so singing for them really allowed me to, I think, open up a whole new element. And I realized from then on the power of frequency, the power of intention, recognizing your purpose and following through with it. But the one thing that I did for them is I showed them love, treated them as a person. I mean, because too many of them are just so used to being in this corrupted world, and that's all they know. Some of them like it and enjoy it, while others just want to get away from it because it's this bad dream that they are chained to. And the remarkable thing that happened then was that one guy that was the one that had been wanting to force me the most, the ringleader or whatever, the one that was making and selling the drug, he took a picture out of his pocket. That was a picture of his daughter. And he showed it to me and he was like, I'm showing you this picture of my daughter because I'm letting you know that I'm not going to force you to do anything that you don't want to do. I'm not going to make you do anything you don't want to do. And he left.
When was that?
This was after I played the song and sang for all of them.
So that's after they had a noticeable change.
Yes. He left, and that's when the other guy offered me to sneak me out. We had to sneak out of the apartment complex.
You mean people were watching?
Yeah, like this is something that goes on in multiple apartments. Like I swear it had to have been some sort of operation or something, because he was like, he needed to sneak me out of the complex.
Was there someone like at the desk downstairs that would be
No,
watching?
no, though, just other people in apartment complexes that know what goes on and that are part of it.
So this is not some small operation. This is
No,
something.
that's
This is
why I
a
didn't,
web of something.
that's why I didn't go to the police with it, because the thing is, if it literally was one of those things that the police, it felt like they would never be able to get to. It was something that, I will say it, but it's above the cops. Like, I'm sorry, but a lot of these things, and I would love for the cops to be able to like buckle down on these types of situation, because it's not a good situation, but most of the time it just, it doesn't resolve that way. And anyway, so when this guy dropped me off at my apartment, he gave me my guitar and he said, keep playing that music. And I told him I would write a song about it. And I did. And this is a song that I brings strength to many people. It's called Stronger Than You Know, but anyway,
Is that the same thing you played for them?
no. What I played for, no, I wrote a song out of that experience called Stronger Than You Know. But what I played for them was something that was just meant for them. The intention was to heal them, to help them realize, to help them get out of that situation, so that they didn't feel like they needed to hurt me, so that they didn't feel stuck as well. And just giving them the love, showing them a remembrance of something good.
So you tapped into something for the moment.
Yes, definitely.
That's awesome.
I just wanted to give them the love. And so I went into the apartment and I was so scared. I was so, so, so scared. It was like already nighttime, there was darkness, and like I stayed awake for hours upon hours into the next day, checking my windows, just like, and part of that was the drug as well, taking over. And like, I was on the internet researching the apartments. I looked online and I found out that the cops had been trying to clear the crime in that apartment complex for the longest time, and many people had died there. And there were
Really?
always, yeah,
So
it's,
it was known that people were disappearing from that area?
yes,
And do you think that's pretty much what was going to happen to you?
yes. And they were even asking me questions like this, like, oh, do a lot of people know you? If
Yeah.
if um if something were to happen to you, would a lot of people know or notice? I'm like, yes, they would. I'm a local vocalist and artist in this area, of course. I have friends, I have family that lives here. And that's what, I was even telling them, oh, I could find you someone better. But they were asking me weird questions like that.
Well, they're not weird because they're trying to gauge their chances of success. Could it be linked back to them if they've followed through?
Hmm.
So how did this all end then?
Well, the guy dropped me off. I went into the apartment and I was paranoid. I was looking online for days, researching. I didn't get much sleep in between days. It was probably December the 10th or the 11th. No, I think it was like days after that. It would have probably been around the 12th or the 13th that I found some interesting information online.
Okay.
I found this really weird website. I'm not gonna say what it is, but it's like dedicated to like theaters and plays, and it's all about diminishing the individual. And it even says that on the website about seeing the gruesome things in life, and it's just a very negative type of feel. I don't like it very much. And it's funny because I actually went to the website tonight, and it's not as gruesome as how it was before, because before it talked even more about it, and it even talked about having some sort of like play type of thing where all of the actors in the room know what's going on except for one person, and doing things to people to scare them and telling them things and like all of that stuff, and how this can be filmed online. And it was just weird that days after that experience happened to me, I came across this weird website.
Did you find anything linking to this group?
Not very much, to tell you the truth. The only other thing I found, hmm, it was this. Well, okay, on the website itself, I was like clicking on random places, and then it took me to like this hidden other website, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. And it takes me to a whole nother area, and it's like a journal type of thing.
A
And
journal.
yeah, it's like an online journal. And it would have all these little excerpts of things, or like paragraphs of little stories, and every little word in the story would be a link to another page and another page and another page, and so on and so forth. And I remember on part of this website it said like death is art and art is death, and it would go on about it and how it was just all these things. And at one point it came to this story, and it was saying there was this girl with the golden eyes, and it was like putting coins into a fortune teller, how she kept guessing everything in the room that was. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of odd, because it was dating the times that it happened to just a day or two ahead of actual day that something did occur when I went to that situation. And I remember that guy, I had asked him what he did, and anyway, I'll tell you in a bit, but um I don't want to get ahead of myself here. So within the story, it went to, the other links and the other links. I remember one disgusting, gruesome one where it was talking about dipping someone's whole body in acid, and just really messed up things. And it got to the other part of the story, and it's saying how this one girl at one point asked him what it is that he did, and he answered with saying, I keep a journal, and he wrote there that that's all she needed to know. She was content with that answer. And that really, really was like oh my God, what in the world?
That was you.
I was just so in shock and just like, what is, no, there are no words. And I will say that after I closed out that window for the journal and I had gone back to that one website, I have not found any hidden link or anything to that journal anymore. Nothing. Can't find anything. Even the place that I thought I had clicked. No idea.
Like he's not writing anymore?
No, just like I happened to find this link somehow. Like it was available for me to look at, I guess. I don't know. Like I went back to where I thought I could, where I thought I had clicked on it before, but there was nothing clickable anymore. So I'm like, okay. It was a very, very odd, hidden online. It even took me to documents. Like I remember it was linked to other websites that had like historical documents attached to it.
What sort of things?
Honestly, I don't really remember what's like just papers, like just pamphlets, writings of known people, like historical documents, those types of things.
But no particular subject?
Government, anything to do with government.
Hmm.
So that was the other thing that I just remembered that. And I remember that being weird. Like, okay, why is this somehow linked to that? But it was like these people that, because you could click on like little words and that would take you to whole other links of other words.
Right.
Yeah, and then some of the websites had like passwords or something that you could click, or you could like you couldn't click anymore, like you had to know the password.
Very interesting. Well, is there anything else to this?
Well, definitely from this experience, it really allowed me to continuously confirm within myself of what I'm supposed to continue to do. Definitely inspire people, let them know that they're not alone, that they are stronger than they know, they can get through it.
That's a beautiful statement.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing it with us. And hopefully it inspires others, which is why I wanted you to do this interview.
Definitely may it inspire many.
Truly interesting story, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Secrets of Saturn. Good night.